The household following the shocking revelation that she kissed her friend, Chantel Everett, begins to doubt her sexual orientation. After her divorce, Chantel Everett is talking openly about dating. People gets a first look at 90 Day Hunt for Love, the newest show on TLC that follows Chantel and 7 other former 90 Day Fiancé stars as they search for love while on a retreat exclusively for single people. The 34-year-old Chantel talks candidly about her life following her divorce from Pedro Jimeno in 2022 and navigating the dating scene in the exclusive video. In a confessional, she states, "I hung up my dating skills when I got married to Pedro 8 years ago, and I never thought I would need them again." She goes on to say, however, that there are other reasons why she is hesitant to date outside her divorce. "There was an incident involving one of my friends just prior to my arrival at the resort," she starts. "My friend Ashley told me she has romantic feelings for me while we were drinking wine and hanging out. Ashley kisses me after one thing leads to another. I was so astonished that I nearly passed out, and I truly enjoyed it," she adds. "It was like my very first kiss. But at the same time, I had never considered dating a woman, so I was really overwhelmed by what it all represented," the TV personality says. She poses the question to the cameras before the video ends. "What would it mean? How would that affect my sexuality, dating life, and me? This implies that I'm a lesbian, right? Like that? I'm not sure." Following her relationship with Pedro, which was chronicled for 5 seasons of The Family Chantel made her confession. A preview of the dramatic end of the ex-couple's journey together was provided by the series, which ended in December 2023. In Season 4 of 90 Day Fiancé, Chantel and Pedro made their debut when she traveled to the Dominican Republic and secretly became engaged to Pedro. Later, on a K-1 visa, he moved to Atlanta, Georgia, to live with her. 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, which ran from 2017 to 2019, and 90 Day Fiancé, Self-Quarantined, which ran from 2020, later featured their relationship. But while Chantel stood on her condo's balcony, gazing at the skyline in blankness, the sun was blazing above Atlanta. After their brief romance on 90 Day Fiancé, she and Pedro Jimeno got married 5 years ago. Over time, what started out as a fairy tale evolved into a warning. After marriage, their life had not been easy. The couple was always caught between love and loyalty because of Pedro's strong devotion to his Dominican family and Chantel's overly protective parents. However, nothing could have prepared Chantel for the ensuing course of events. Chantel's phone buzzed on a wet Thursday night with a message from her friend Alejandra. "You should check Pedro's Instagram, girl. He's with Nicole and another woman in the doctor." Chantel's heart was racing. Pedro had claimed to be traveling for a real estate-related business opportunity. The images, however, depicted Pedro laughing on a beach with Nicole and an unidentified woman wearing a red bikini, their body language too intimate for comfort. That night, Chantel didn't sleep. Was this the ultimate betrayal? Her mind raced. Chantel took an unexpected flight to the Dominican Republic. She had had enough of waiting for answers. When she arrived at Pedro's mother's house, tensions were high and TLC's cameras were rolling. "Pedro, what is this?" She slammed her phone down on the table and displayed the pictures as she demanded. Pedro tightened his jaw. "You arrive here in this manner? It's business, as I mentioned." She works as a real estate agent. In the background, Nicole scoffed. "Please, Chantel, don't pretend you're not guilty. You have been texting your ex, as we all know." Chantel stopped. How was that known to Nicole? Pedro leaned closer. "I have been saying this. There is no longer any trust. Because you broke it," Chantel said in a tremulous voice. Again and again. When the drama returned to Atlanta, it erupted. Chantel's family, the Everetts, planned a heated supper. Pedro showed up unannounced, carrying Nicole. It was a chaotic situation. "What brings her here?" Chantel's mother, Karen, almost let out a cry. "Because Pedro is always the target of this family's conspiracy," Nicole retaliated. Chantel's father, Thomas, made a vain attempt at mediating the situation. Then the shocking revelation came. Nicole admitted to surreptitiously recording a phone conversation between Chantel and Marcus, her ex-boyfriend. "You said you missed him." Nicole played the audio and yelled. Chantel's face went white. Weeks went by. Pedro and Chantel no longer trusted each other. Therapy, mediation, and even a second honeymoon program were provided by TLC producers. However, nothing was effective. One evening, Chantel met Pedro's eyes in the soft light of the kitchen lights. "I cherished you," she declared, "but I no longer even recognize you." Pedro spoke softly. "Perhaps we weren't supposed to survive." The following day, they signed the divorce papers. A year later, Chantel participated in a brand new reality show called Reclaiming Chantel and launched her own aesthetics clinic. Pedro, who still had a tense relationship with his mother and Nicole, relocated to Miami and started a full-time real estate job. Even though their romance came to an end, their narrative continued to be discussed on social media and in spin-offs and reruns. But months had passed since the Jimeno household's tension reached a breaking point. Once optimistic about his marriage to Chantel Everett, Pedro Jimeno had finally come to the conclusion that he could no longer put up with Chantel's family's constant disagreements, suspicion, and interference. He left his wife and years of emotional traumas behind when he packed his bags and left their opulent condo one wet Thursday morning in Atlanta. Chantel watched him go out the window, her countenance flat, the storm inside her hidden. She had already shed too many tears. But when Pedro's elevator doors closed behind him, she felt a change in herself, not a sensation of relief or sadness, but a chilly determination. She entered their combined bank account the following morning. When she saw the balance, which was 265,000 Bangladeshi takas, about $2,400, her eyes opened. To her, it was symbolic, a reminder of the life they had created and the one Pedro was now leaving behind, even though it wasn't much by famous standards. Chantel pulled out every last dime without hesitation. Pedro came back that afternoon to pick up a misplaced laptop. He froze as he checked the bank app. There was nothing in the account. Shock gave way to anger. He paced the lobby while muttering to himself, "She stole from me." Chantel didn't pick up when he tried to phone her. Instead, she wrote, "Sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself," in a mysterious Instagram story. Like wildfire, rumors proliferate. Threads on Reddit became viral. Drama-smelling TLC producers pleaded with both of them to come back for a special spin-off show called The Family Chantel, The Final Betrayal. The audience was unaware that Chantel had already left Atlanta when the cameras rolled once more. She took a plane to the Dominican Republic in order to start afresh, not to face Pedro's family. She used the funds to invest in a Punta Cana spa center by the sea. It was a success, with yoga, spa treatments, and empowerment lectures for women in recovery from toxic relationships. Pedro started establishing a new life in Miami in the meantime. He began working in real estate once more, gaining momentum despite his injuries. But he was plagued by the treachery. "It wasn't about the money," he said in an emotional interview on the reunion episode. "Trust was at issue. She permanently damaged that bridge." Conversely, Chantel emerged from the Caribbean via satellite, radiant and unrepentant. "He left first," she stated coolly. "I simply took what belonged to me." With Chantel facilitating a meditation circle by the sea and Pedro marketing opulent condos to celebrities, the season concluded with split screens depicting their new lives. No making amends. No regrets. However, the words "to be continued" appeared as the screen went blank. However, Chantel Everett hadn't seen Pedro Jimeno in 2 years. It appeared that life had moved on, the divorce was finalized, and the tears had been dried. The emotions never really subsided, even if the cameras had stopped recording. Chantel poured herself into her career after the split. She started working in a private clinic in Atlanta after graduating with high honors from nursing school. Determined to take back control of her story, she started Chantel's Choice, a health and wellness company that became well-known because of her devoted fan base from 90 Day Fiancé and The Family Chantel. She felt empowered for the first time in years. However, the unsolved tension between her and Pedro continued to plague her. In contrast, Pedro had stayed in the Dominican Republic after a string of incidents made him rethink everything. He had gone back home to take care of his sister and mother, who had grown more aloof since he and Chantel had broken up. Pedro found purpose and serenity away from the craziness of the American way of life. He started his own real estate company in Santo Domingo after enrolling in a small business course. At last, he was creating something entirely his own, unencumbered by family conflict and manipulation. Then the unexpected turn of events occurred. TLC made a fresh offer. Chantel and Pedro. Unresolved matters. The proposal was straightforward. One final season to wrap up the series, or perhaps start a new one. Under the supervision of a qualified therapist, they would work through their past for a month in a neutral setting. They both reluctantly agreed. In Costa Rica, filming got underway. The reunion was cold at first. The old wounds came back. Pedro retaliated by claiming that she felt alone and abused by her family after Chantel accused him of emotional mistreatment. However, they started to lower their defenses as the days went by. They were reminded of the past by shared memories, which included not only the love but also the laughter, dreams, and hardships that strengthened them. "We were both broken people trying to fix each other," Pedro remarked gently one evening following a lengthy therapy session and a stroll along the beach. "Perhaps we've matured enough to take care of ourselves first." Chantel took a while to reply. After gazing at the stars, she muttered, "Perhaps this is the resolution we required. Or perhaps it's a fresh start." Fans worldwide held their breath as the show aired. Was this a last farewell or a reconciliation? After returning to Atlanta, Chantel continued to grow her business and began providing courses on emotional well-being to women going through a difficult time. Pedro started providing inspirational speeches to young business owners and grew his real estate company. Even though they parted ways after Costa Rica, the trip unexpectedly healed them both. They sent brief, courteous, and nice texts from time to time. Although there was no romantic rekindling of the relationship, there was still a strong understanding between them. Greetings, dear viewers, greetings from my channel. I'm Amelia. I hope you're having a great day. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the video.